Really Reviews.
Hello, Nico. This is our second take.
Can you hear me?
I can.
You hear me?
Don't need to spam the mic. All right. Well,
You can hear it. Which camera are we on?
we're on you now. Now we're on me. Before we start reviewing Nope, which is what we saw today, I just want to say we're on YouTube now with full video podcasts. If you didn't see our last one, this will be our second one uploaded on there, and check us out on there. Subscribe, give us some views, and comment your feelings like Richard did on our video.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
You just gave away who our secret commenter was.
Yep.
I have multiple accounts.
He has multiple accounts.
He's holding it down.
We watched Nope.
We watched Nope. We got special guest Richard here.
We learned
back
who
again.
the Nope was in the movie.
Yeah,
and this is Jordan Peele's third directed film.
That's right. It's his third. So he wrote Candyman, which I've heard a lot of people talk about how they thought he did that. I think it's maybe
No, he didn't.
style.
He didn't direct it.
He didn't direct it. I think he was like a co-writer on it and then a producer. But this is his third
Actual
film
direction.
as a director.
Yeah.
His other two are Get Out and Us. You've probably heard of Get Out. It's a pretty big movie. I still think it's his best one. But yeah, Richard's here. Lise is off camera. Hello, Lise. Everyone say hi to Lise. Nico, say hi to Lise.
Hi, Lise.
Okay. Hi. But yeah, Nico, let's just get into it. Did you like the movie?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Did you like the movie?
I did like the movie.
Rich, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Lise, did you like the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Lise liked the movie. All right, we all liked the movie. It was good.
Okay. So, plot synopsis.
You can do it. Or do you want me to
I
do
don't
it?
even know. We just said, you don't want to go into this movie knowing too much. You don't want to read too much about it.
Yeah.
It's like, all you need to know is some people have some experiences with a UFO, and they're just trying to get to the bottom of it. That's it.
Yeah, the trailer, if you've seen any of the trailers in the theater or elsewhere, they've been everywhere. I think everything you learn from the trailers is what you should go in knowing, and that's it. There's some alien shit going on, and it's a thriller horror type movie. I think that's the less you know, the better. And I think,
Yeah.
I want to say, when we didn't do this on our first take, I think that's great. Most movies don't do that. Like, even horror movies, we saw Black Phone recently, we talked about it in the podcast, just gave away a lot of the plot in the trailer, which is like, why? Like,
Yeah, they gave away 90% of the film. Is the microphone picking up, by the way?
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just looking at Richard's too.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah, you have a look when something starts going wrong.
I gotta check it out.
I'm just asking.
The trailers, like I said, didn't give away very much at all, really, and that's refreshing because a lot of films, not really probably faults of the filmmakers or the people that work on the film, like the marketing teams just end up giving away too much of the plot, and it ruins the experience if you've seen the trailer. So if you've seen the trailers, you're fine, but honestly, just don't read anything about it because the less you know, the better.
Yeah.
But anyways, what did you like about it?
Well, we mentioned this in take one. Cinematography was done really well.
It was done really well.
I think that all of the things we were talking about this. Did we record that one horror movie we watched recently? I don't
Hereditary?
remember. Yeah,
we did, but it's not uploaded
It's
yet.
not uploaded yet? Okay, well, you guys will know Hereditary is one of our episodes later. But, the things that they set up all throughout this film, I was so surprised that they called back on all of them in different ways. And there were some things where I was like, they didn't call back on this. Or they didn't even mention this in the beginning. And then I was like, oh, no, they did. I'll explain a couple of those later in spoilers.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that
there's a lot of hidden details.
Yeah, every shot is important.
Yes.
And that's there's a lot of care put into it, and I think that just enhances this experience more. Even shots that are just building up suspense for things, things in the background or props or things, all of them will add to the experience and add
Lines
to the
of
story.
dialogue too.
Sure, yeah. Exactly, just stuff like that. You can tell there's a lot of care put into it, and I think that's Jordan Peele's style. If you've seen any of his movies, that's what he does.
Mm-hmm.
So if you liked any of Jordan Peele's movies, you'll like this one, I think. I also liked I like the humor. I just want to say, really well-timed humor. You said that before in our first take, right, Rich? Anything specifically you want to...
No, everything I said was in the first take, you know?
Okay.
So I'm out of ideas.
Rich is
out of juice.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here.
The Daniel Kaluuya's character was, I thought, like, probably the funniest. Just his
OJ?
deadpan. Yeah, OJ, yeah. It was just, he was mostly deadpan humor, and I thought it, like, nailed every time. Like, every time. Our theater was a little dead. It was a little dead, I think, but, like...
Yeah, I heard some laughs, but I know our group, we were laughing, I think, a little bit more than everybody else.
Sure, but I think that it was definitely meant to be funny throughout most of it, and I think a lot of the jokes landed and felt really natural. I mean, you got good actors here. Keke Palmer's also in the cast. I don't know who's the guy that played the other...
Steven something.
Steven
main guy?
something was
He was in The Walking Dead, I think.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, anyways, you can look up the cast, but the cinematography, sound was all really good. Set design, you said that, and I'm stealing your idea again. Like, all that stuff built suspense really well in the first two acts. And I thought that's what made it, like, a pretty compelling movie. Now, I will say, if we're starting to get into, like, negatives, do you want to get into negatives? Or do you have
I
the
didn't have
cast
anything
up?
negative, honestly.
Really?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think everything was executed pretty well, or it was...
So it was a perfect movie?
Not perfect.
Okay, then what's
Then,
the
well,
flaw?
yeah, if this one wasn't perfect, then...
Like, I don't think I have anything that I really stuck out to me that I was like, oh, this was stupid, or like, oh, this wasn't done well. I just think, like, it was all executed, like, at a pretty high level on pretty much everything, that I was like, this is pretty good. Like, I don't have much to say.
There isn't a lot of... Yeah, there's not a lot of holes you can poke in the visual elements, I think. But I don't think this is his best script. I think it gets to be a little bit too much in the third act.
Okay.
That's what I'll say. But I can't really say any more unless we get into spoilers. But I think it gets a little bit out there, a little too much. Everything visually looks great, and there's a great moment in the third act, where it really picks up the pace. I don't think we should say what it was, but it really picks up the pace and is, like, compelling.
I think we should just get into spoilers at this point.
We gotta give it a
Rich,
spoiler first.
wait, Rich, was there anything you didn't like, or anything that stuck out that you were like, eh?
I don't know if this is really it is kind of a spoiler, but...
Okay, then save
Then,
it.
all right,
For,
yeah, we'll save it.
save it for like a 1 minute.
I cared a lot about the characters in Get Out. I think the characters are all really interesting, especially the lead, Daniel Kaluuya's character in that movie, was really interesting, and his friend was really interesting, and even the girl, like, all of them really well acted and really well written. I just didn't think the characters in this movie were super compelling. I think some deaths happen, and I don't know. I just didn't care as much.
That's fair, but I think when, like, in Get Out, I mean, it's been out, so I'm sorry to spoil this, but, like, you learn that his mom died in front of... Or no, his mom died and he, like, wasn't able to be there for her or something like that. And I think there's an element of not showing showing these deaths and showing these certain things that makes the viewer think of whatever they want or think of however this situation went. Where, like, in this movie, you kind of see the origin of some characters, and I think that there's a bit more power in the anonymous or, like, the random stuff that you just can't imagine or you can't think of clearly. Where if you see it, maybe it's not as strong to you. But I don't think that detracted any from, at least from my viewing of some of the characters.
For me, it did. I mean, I know just from reviewing other things, and we've talked about this before, I think I care a little more about story and character than you do, I guess. I think.
Sure. And
so for me, it's like I really want to care about the characters, and I cared about them, like the lead and the lead sister played.
So
like
you cared
Keke
about
Palmer,
OJ and Emerald?
Yeah, I cared about them, but honestly, I thought I cared about them more because they were so well acted. Those characters were so well acted that it wasn't really about the writing itself, like their story background. It was more about how those actors were portraying the characters. And then also, I think the issue with the third act for me getting too much is not with anything visual. I thought it all looked really, really good. We can talk about it in spoilers, but like it just story wise, it got to be like a little overwhelming, and I think stuff, I don't know, it just felt a little flat. Like whereas Get Out, I think I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, ready for him to get out of the place.
Yeah.
You know, just hoping, rooting for this guy. Whereas this one, it's like they're dealing with supernatural alien stuff, and it's just, I think it loses some of its steam, which I think a lot of horror movies we've watched recently have had this problem. It just loses some of its steam in the third act. That's all I think.
Okay.
That's the only holes I'd poke really in the movie.
Rich, nothing?
No.
Okay.
All right. Well, until we get into spoilers, do you want to just give scores right now?
Sure. What do you have?
All right. I'm gonna go 7-7 on this. So I'm gonna give it a high 7. I can recommend it. I think it's really good, but I just think it's not the most compelling story I've seen in a while.
Okay, Rich?
Give it an 8.
You give it an 8?
All right,
Yeah.
Rich, 8? Like just flat 8?
Yeah.
All right.
What do you want to be like 8.5?
No, I was just wondering.
You can, if you think 8.5.
No.
All
You
right.
don't think so?
All right, 8 from Richard.
I'm like an 8.6.
Oh, wow.
I really liked it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, maybe not as compelling. I think that's like kind of the only knock I'd give it. But there's so many movies that just aren't as compelling that this was 10 times, this was made 10 times better than any of those other films. That,
You're definitely right about that.
right? Like, this is, if there's a list of movies that are not as compelling characters or something, this is like near the top. It just has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
Everything else that they do for this film, all of the setting up, all of the visuals, I think even the sound design was pretty good in this film.
It was great. The sound design was really good.
Like, for everything that they do, I thought it's a very, very good movie.
Yeah, they use music really well, and we'll get into spoilers. I think there was some really cool things with the music that I want to reference. But
Yeah.
Should we get Lisa score in here?
I
Lise?
said 8.5.
8.5.
Okay, 8.5 from Lise.
Okay.
That's a high
Dude.
score. What'd you give Everything Everywhere?
I don't remember.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, okay.
I don't remember if she even gave a score when I asked.
Yeah, all right, whatever. I think it's spoiler time. I think the rest of this episode, getting into spoilers, would be more beneficial for anyone that's seen the movie. So go see it if you haven't. I think before we get into spoilers, go see it. It's really good. Support really good filmmakers like this and original projects. It's definitely worth seeing. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, Rich.
Go see the movie. It's a really good movie. But yeah. Now into spoilers.
Okay, so
You
what
can
was
say.
the part that you weren't very compelled with?
I just think after they reveal physically when you see the UFO,
The parachute UFO.
yeah, it's just a flying butthole basically. So
Like,
like
you don't know how it works. You don't know what any of it does, right?
I still don't know.
And that's what's interesting.
And that is interesting. I think that's good, but like I think it has like some visual some visual intimidation to it, like where it's more flying through the clouds and it's more in the shadows throughout the first 2 acts than when you see this flying butthole just come down and suck people up. Like,
It doesn't look like a butthole. If
Yes,
anybody
it does.
when you watch it, it doesn't look like a butthole.
it's a flesh-colored thing and has a
It
hole in
wasn't
it.
flesh
Flesh-colored
colored. It's
thing.
gray. Like
It's
it looks like
flesh-colored.
it looks like an
It's
iris and a
flesh-colored.
pupil, dumbass.
That is the gimmick with it too. Okay, so there's the other thing. It's besides just the
A
physical
butthole.
presence of it.
Yeah, a butthole that just sucks things into it. Sure,
Yeah.
whatever.
Other story things are revealed about the UFO, where it's sort of as the characters are learning about it. It's not a UFO. It's not a spaceship. It is an animal.
It's some organism.
Some
big
type
thing.
of organism, and it needs to feed. So it's feeding on the horses on the ranch there. So you learn that I guess it's just feeding on these things. It's an animal and it's territorial. But like also you learn you're safe as long as you just don't look at it. So just don't look into the butthole and you're fine. Like that was so that element of like, okay, we know how to stay alive from this thing. Whatever. It's like fine. It takes away some of the suspense that I think the thing flying through the shadows that you didn't see a lot of it built up. That's all. I think that's a pretty fair explanation for it. It was just less intimidating, you know? Like after you learn more about it. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it too much when they revealed it.
Well, what did you like about that then? Like, what did you like about the big reveal and how you see it sort of expand out into this weird looking squid thing?
I liked that it was completely different from any other UFO alien shit you're gonna see ever.
That's true.
Like, everything else is just, oh, there's a little green man running around with a gun, like a space ray, and it's like, okay, cool. Haven't seen that in Alien 1, 2, 3, and then, like, everything else. Like,
Well, that's a big green monster. Is it even green? Is it
no, it's like
it's white. It's
like,
white. Yeah.
No, an alien? It's like
I think it's
dark.
black.
It's like
black.
gray or
Okay,
black.
yeah, the black, gray, dark thing.
But you know what I mean,
Some
right?
movie buff we have here.
I actually haven't seen Alien, but
I haven't seen it, but I knew that.
so Richard's gonna replace me from now on.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. He's replacing you and Young. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I liked that the design was completely different from anything I've seen with dealing with any extraterrestrial stuff. The way it moved, the way it did things, I thought was just kind of interesting.
It all
cool.
looked amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll give it points for
Like,
that.
this movie is visually stunning to me.
I agree.
It's not like the most insane visuals I've ever seen. I couldn't name anything off the top of my head. Like, I know there's a few I've seen, but like
Avatar.
Avatar's really good, yeah, but like I just mean, like, there's nothing that I can really think of that just like blew me away. Except maybe a couple films, but I'd have to really think about it and look at some images, but that's besides the point. I don't know. I just thought this antagonist was something different and cool that I didn't feel I was too bored when I was watching it.
That's a fair point. No, it is definitely something completely different and new. There's nothing like this movie.
Right?
Like, the third act, I think. I mean, it was cool, really cool visually, and what they're trying to do, which is basically the whole goal after they notice that there's a UFO there, is to get it on camera. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, but like,
They want to get on Oprah.
yeah.
They want to be the UFO people on Oprah.
But I thought that was like interesting, like the whole that, well, if your digital camera is not working, you can't catch it on film, or you can't like film it, quote unquote. And then the thing is, like, oh, I'm gonna record it with actual film reels,
yeah.
all by hand, just hand cranking it. Like, this is like the early 1800s or late 1800s, early 1900s, and I was like, that's so cool.
I agree with that. Now, all of that stuff was really cool. I just think it's like, I wish there would have been more backstory or something behind the thing. Like, you learn a little bit about it with its apparently it came in the past at some point, but like,
Sure.
it's just there's a lot of questions. It doesn't I don't really care about it. Like, it was not that threatening. There was no story reason to be scared of it.
Well, it was sucking things up.
Yeah.
But they knew how
A
to.
bunch of people died.
But that's my point. They knew how to not die at that point. Just don't look at the butthole and you're fine. Like, that was.
Just don't look up, basically.
Yeah,
That's a whole other movie.
Yeah, it turns into the just don't look up at the butthole and you'll be safe. Like, that's you kind of learn about everything, all of the threat of it. It doesn't have really a backstory. We don't even really know why it's there or what it's doing. Like, it's just kind of there. And it's cool, but it's like, why is it there?
Sure, but then, like, let's look at like Stranger Things. It's like, oh, you just listen to your favorite song and Vecna can't touch you.
I don't
Like,
think I'd rate Stranger Things higher than
like,
this.
I think
know
this,
Richard would.
Whoa.
this did this better than
Calm down.
Stranger Things.
Richard's a Stranger Things fanboy, and I agree with that. I agree with that.
Right?
Do you think so, Richard?
What?
Do you think this did that type of?
Don't look up or don't listen to Vecna shit, and you're fine. Do you think this or Vecna did it better?
Well, I'm obviously going to pick the other one, but
You're gonna
Stranger
do
I mean,
Things.
this one wasn't bad.
Right? It wasn't bad. So I mean, like, I can't really knock it.
Sure, it's just that aspect of it wasn't super interesting to me.
Okay.
The only interesting aspects of it were visual to me, but
Sure.
still really good, really well acted. You know.
Rich, what was your spoiler that you?
Oh,
We're
I
gonna
didn't
hold
really
on.
care that the dad died at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't either.
We got like, what, 3 minutes of him, and then he just kind of got a nickel to the face and died.
Yeah, and in the OJ doesn't even really react that strongly to it.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah. Thinking about it, you're right.
So that's where I'm like.
But I mean,
didn't
he's
care.
like, this was Dad's ranch. I gotta hold on to Dad's ranch. I gotta do this,
Okay, yeah,
whatever
I
for Dad. And I was like, okay,
Sure.
that's fine. But you're right. That kind of is the extent of his whole connection with his dad.
he just can't give up his legacy. Yeah, that's basically.
Yeah, he doesn't want to give up the ranch, the thing that his dad built, and I think you see some of that through his interaction with his sister.
And that's why they're like, oh, just feed out the horses and you're fine. And they're like, I'm not doing that.
I thought those were some of the best character moments, seeing the two of them interact. There's a big planning sequence. So they have a plan to defeat the monster at the end of the movie, and there's a big planning sequence.
No, they didn't have a plan to defeat it.
Well, not defeat it.
Just
to capture it on camera.
Yeah.
So in that sequence, really, really good, and then it ends with a good moment between. It doesn't end. There's some just really good moments in there between OJ and his sister. I thought those were the more compelling character moments.
That last part was confused. Like,
which
how
last
did he
part?
not get sucked up by the butthole?
I think it was they kept looking at it, so it kept bouncing between who to go kill because they both kept staring at it.
That's a stupid monster, then.
The monster was just stupid. Yeah. I mean,
I
it was
thought
mindless.
the
It
point
was
there.
eating like the metal horse and the flags, and then it just ate the fucking blimp. So like, it was clearly a stupid monster.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't think it was supposed to be intelligent. I don't think that's what the plan was.
No, but I would have. I didn't even need it to be intelligent. I would have liked to learn why did it go back in time and kill.
It didn't go back.
Or sorry, not back in time. In the flashback sequences where we learn that its like first appearance came. Why did it do that? Why is it here on this ranch? Like, why is it here? What is it doing?
They explained that.
They just said it's territorial. Territorial to what?
And
it thinks it's home.
Like
Like
an
that's
aspect of animals.
that's just very thin reasoning to me.
It's
like,
throughout the whole movie. Like the same thing with the chimp.
It was
He's being
killing
territorial.
things. Yeah.
It's just like you can't.
Okay, back to the chimp thing. That whole stuff, like
That was a great part of
the way they set the film up was so cool. Yeah, I thought I don't know if you noticed, but when what was the one guy's?
I agree though. It
the
did
guy
set it up
with the
really
jacket.
well.
I don't know if you saw his jacket. It had like a little UFO on his back.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, and he was like trying to remember with the horses, and he was trying to ring the horses around. His red jacket had like a UFO on it, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's a callback to earlier. He started to understand like why. I think why he started to understand why that chimp was going around killing people on set. And then he noticed the shoe, which he later had displayed in like a little box.
That was cool, yeah.
Everything was set up pretty well. Keke Palmer's character, she was like, oh, I'm a motorcycle girl. And I was like, where the hell did she learn how to ride motorcycles at the end? And then I was like, oh, she said it in the beginning of the film.
Yeah, that was cool too.
And like the little crank photo thing that she jumped in by accident.
I also really liked that.
Like, that's the stuff that really made this movie shine to me. That everything was set up so well. It was all called back upon later on.
Yes, very, very meticulously crafted script, even though I don't think it had a lot of story weight or character weight that I cared about. That's all I'll say. It was well crafted and well shot, but it just was not like the most compelling story.
Okay, this sounds, not to spoiler a future episode, but like that's the thing with Tenet that I think.
That's what I don't like about Tenet.
You didn't like about Tenet, but I just loved about Tenet is that. Maybe whatever, it's kind of generic, some of the plot motivations and whatever, but like the way everything was set up, everything was choreographed, it's amazing to me.
Sure, and but that movie also had, I think, more legs to stand on with when it comes to that story, the gimmick of the movie. Like, this is just a UFO that's sort of doing things, and maybe it's attached to Steven Yeun or Yen. I don't know how to say his name. Character. Like, maybe, like, I don't know. It's just, it was much more thin. Like, whereas Tenet has, the whole concept of inversion.
The lore.
Yeah. Anyways, any final thoughts as we get into it, or get into the end here?
Rich, you got anything?
Yeah, Coachella sucked this year.
Coachella sucked this year.
Anything, Nico, from you?
Coachella sucked this year.
Coachella sucked this year. All right. Anyway, go listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you've already been doing that. Check us out on YouTube. We're on there now. And then, of course, we're also on TikTok. TikTok. We're gonna have clips on TikTok. So
Terrible.
check us out there. Thanks for listening.